I should have known the universe was setting me up for a disaster the moment my flight attendant accidentally spilled orange juice on my jeans. And yet, nothing could have prepared me for the emotional tornado waiting in Seattle, wrapped in chestnut hair and a smile I had memorized months before. Her name was Avery, and I was about to destroy my own carefully structured life for her. The December air hit me like a slap as I stepped out of Seattle-Tacoma Airport, luggage in one hand and a heart pounding with the kind of reckless courage only desperation can buy. I had rehearsed my confession 100 times on the flight. Every version sounded pathetic. Hi Avery, surprise, I crossed 3 states to confess my love. No, too desperate. Avery, I thought we were just co-workers, but apparently I am stupidly in love with you. No, too honest. Maybe I should pretend the romantics of Christmas made me do it. People forgive anything during the holidays. Even love confessions that arrive unannounced. Seattle at dusk felt unreal, drenched in blue mist and shimmering reflections from shop windows decorated with string lights. Every blanket of cold air made my heartbeat louder. I was doing something unhinged, unreasonable, beautifully stupid. But love demands stupidity sometimes. Avery was worth it. We had worked together for almost a year at a marketing firm in Chicago. She was one of those women who could walk into a meeting and shift the energy without saying a word. People listened when she spoke. They laughed when she joked. They softened when she smiled. And I, unfortunately, melted entirely. I didn't fall for her in one single cinematic moment. It was gradual. It was devastatingly subtle, like a leak you don't notice until it floods the whole house. The night she told me she was leaving for Seattle, her voice cracked slightly. Only slightly. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I softened it because I wanted to believe she didn't want to leave me behind. Avery moving away, hundreds of miles from me. The idea gnawed at my stomach like hunger. So I booked a flight. Packed my courage. Packed my hope. I packed the little velvet box I swore I would never buy. Yes, a necklace. A small silver moon pendant she once said she loved. That was going to be my confession. And now here I was waiting for an Uber in the cold Seattle evening, fingers tapping on the velvet box in my coat pocket like it was a heartbeat. When I reached her new apartment building, my chest nearly folded inward. Avery had always said she loved places with soft light and quiet corners, and this building looked exactly like that dream. Warm lobby, wooden accents, plants that were somehow still alive in December. I texted her, "Hey surprise, I'm in Seattle. Can we talk?" Then I waited, and waited, and waited until each second stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Finally she texted back, "You're here? Now. I'm at the gym 2 blocks away. Come if you want." If I want. As if I didn't cross half the country for her. The gym was an upscale, modern space with glass walls that made everything look too honest. I told the receptionist Avery was expecting me. She waved me through. And that was how I found myself standing outside the women's changing room, trying not to look like a creep. I was simply waiting. Waiting for the woman I loved to come out and unknowingly walk into the biggest turning point of my life. But fate, as always, had a cruel theatrical flair. Someone exited, pushing the door slightly open. Not enough to see clearly. Just enough for my curious, terrified eyes to catch a sliver of movement inside. Avery, standing in front of a mirror. Her hair still damp from the shower. Her expression raw, vulnerable, shaken. But that wasn't the part that broke me. She wasn't alone. There was another woman. Tall, dark-haired, athletic, standing close. Too close. Her hands cupped Avery's face as if holding something fragile. Avery leaned into her touch, eyes closed. The kind of lean you don't fake. The kind of lean that says I belong here. My breath cracked in my chest. Soundlessly, violently. I shouldn't have seen it. I knew that. It wasn't my place. But the door betrayed them, and the universe betrayed me. Then the woman pressed a kiss to Avery's forehead. A gentle one. A loving one. The kind that came with history. My stomach turned cold, like the air around me had seeped straight into my bones. I backed away from the door instantly, heart hammering, palms sweating as if I had stolen something. Maybe I had. A truth that wasn't meant for me yet. A truth that shattered every plan I had built on hope. Avery had someone. And not just someone. Someone she trusted enough to break in front of. Someone who kissed her like she was the center of their world. I stumbled toward the hallway, almost slipping on the polished floor. I could hear my heartbeat louder than the gym's music. Loud enough to drown out reason. I should leave. I should escape. I should breathe. But my body refused to do anything except crumble quietly in the corner of a modern Seattle gym, trying not to cry like a child who lost her favorite dream. Minutes, maybe hours passed, I couldn't tell. Time twisted. Emotion dissolved it. Then I heard her voice. My name. Soft. Confused. Shaken. I looked up and saw Avery standing there wearing a hoodie and sweatpants, hair damp, eyes wide. The other woman was nowhere in sight. Her gaze softened the moment she took in my face. Hey, she said gently. What happened? Why are you pale? Funny question. Maybe because the universe drop kicked my heart. But I didn't say that. I stood up, steadier than I felt. I forced my lips to move. I came to see you. Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. Guilt? Surprise? Fear? I hated that I suddenly doubted everything. She walked closer, stopping just one step away. You should have told me you were coming. Would it have changed anything? Would she have hidden the other woman? Would she have prepared a lie? I swallowed hard, keeping my voice steady. I wanted to surprise you. She inhaled sharply, hands shoved into her hoodie pockets as if she didn't know what to do with them. May, she whispered, I didn't expect this. I nodded, a fragile gesture masking a storm. I know. Silence stretched between us, heavy with truth we weren't ready to touch. Then she said the words that cracked my world further. This is complicated. The understatement of the century. I bit back tears, lifting my chin. Then let me understand it, Avery. Her lips parted. She hesitated. And I knew right then that whatever she was hiding inside that changing room was about to reshape everything I thought I knew about her. About us. About love. Avery didn't speak at first. Instead, she looked at the floor like she was searching for a version of the truth that wouldn't hurt either of us. The silence stretched, pressing against my ribs until it was painful to breathe. Finally she exhaled, slow and tired. Let's get out of here. Her voice wasn't cold. It wasn't even distant. It was conflicted, torn in a way that made my heart twist because I knew it wasn't just about me. Whatever was going on inside her, it wasn't small. We walked out of the gym together. The cold Seattle night slapped my cheeks, but the sting grounded me. Avery pulled her hood up, stuffing her hands deeper into the pockets of her gray hoodie, as if bracing herself for a storm neither of us could see yet. We walked in silence for almost a block before she finally said it. You weren't supposed to see that. Her voice was so fragile I almost wished I hadn't seen anything at all. I didn't mean to. The door just. I know, she cut in gently. I'm not angry. Just surprised. Surprised. Heartbroken, I thought. Destroyed, to be more accurate. But I didn't say any of that out loud. Who was she? I asked softly. The question felt like walking barefoot across shattered glass. Avery hesitated again. Her steps slowed until she stopped completely under the glow of a street lamp. Her name is Mara. The name felt too beautiful, too poetic, for the knife it carried. She used to be important to me. Used to be? The words lodged in my throat, because the way Avery flinched when she said them told a different story. A story still unfinished. Avery rubbed her arms against the cold, eyes darting away. Let's talk somewhere warm, she murmured. She led me to a small cafe on the corner. It was one of those cozy, quiet places with fogged-up windows and the smell of cinnamon that seeped into your clothes. The kind of place where heartbreak could either heal slowly or collapse fully. We sat by the window. Avery ordered chamomile tea for herself, hot chocolate for me, like she somehow knew exactly what I'd need. I waited. She took a sip, swallowed hard, then spoke. Mara and we weren't official. Not really. It was complicated. We kept going back and forth for years. Years. The word stung. She wasn't good for me, Avery continued. But I kept trying to fix things that didn't want to be fixed. And when I moved here, I thought it was finally over. So why is she here? I asked quietly. Avery let out a humorless laugh. Because she doesn't like letting go. My fingers tightened around the warm cup. And you? I whispered. Do you like letting go? Her eyes lifted to mine. No. I felt something shift inside my chest. A small, reckless hope fluttering its wings. But Avery's expression dimmed immediately, as if she could see that hope rising and needed to stamp it back down before it grew too strong. May, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm not ready for anything. Not with her. Not with anyone. Not even with me. Of course not. Why would she be? I nodded, trying to keep my face calm. Emotionless. Safe. I didn't come here to pressure you. She looked at me the way you look at someone who is both a comfort and a wound. Then why did you come? The question hung in the air like smoke. Because I wanted to be brave for once, I said. Because I didn't want to lose the chance to tell you how I feel. Her lips parted. A visible shiver ran through her. May, it wasn't a rejection. But it wasn't acceptance either. I swallowed hard. You don't have to say anything. I'm not expecting an answer. Avery's fingers curled around her cup until her knuckles turned white. She looked down, blinked rapidly like she was fighting tears. You should have told me before I left, she whispered. I know. Why didn't you? Because I was scared. Of what? Losing you. My voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to. But she heard it. She felt it. Her breath hitched as if the sound wounded her too. Avery leaned back in her chair, gaze hazy with tangled emotion. I thought I was imagining things in Chicago. I thought the tension between us was one-sided. I tried to ignore it because I was leaving and I didn't want to make things harder. Her confession broke something open in me. It wasn't one-sided. No, apparently not. Her voice was so soft it could have been mistaken for a confession of its own. But just when the hope began to glow warm inside me, she shut her eyes tightly, shaking her head. But May, my life is a mess right now. I'm not stable. I'm not ready to love anyone the way they deserve. Then let me decide what's worth loving, I whispered. Her eyes snapped open. They glimmered with something bright. Something scared. Don't, she pleaded. Don't make this easy on me. I straightened, heart pounding. I'm not trying to make it easy. I'm trying to be honest. Avery covered her face with her hands for a moment, breathing deeply. When she finally looked at me again, her voice was thin and trembling. You didn't see the whole story in that changing room. I don't need the whole story to know, but she interrupted, her tone tight. No, you do. You need to know exactly who you flew across the country for. My spine stiffened. What are you trying to say? She swallowed, her throat visibly constricting. Mara, she wasn't just someone I dated. She wasn't just a complicated ex. She was. Avery stopped. Her breath shook. For a moment, I wondered if she was about to tell me something catastrophic. Something unforgivable. She looked up at me with eyes glossy with heartbreak. She was the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. The world felt like it tilted. Avery continued, voice almost breaking. But she didn't want the same life. Not with me. Not openly. Not honestly. I blinked, realizing what she meant. She didn't want people to know about us, Avery whispered. I wasn't enough to love in the light. And suddenly the forehead kiss made terrible sense. It wasn't romantic. It was toxic. It was the kind of love that leaves scars, not memories. I reached across the table before thinking and took Avery's hand. She didn't pull away. Her fingers were cold, trembling. I'm sorry, she murmured. You came here with hope and I'm giving you nothing but damaged pieces. I squeezed her hand gently. You're not damaged. You're healing. And I didn't come here for something perfect, Avery. I came here for you. Her breath hitched. Why? She whispered, eyes shining with disbelief. Because you're worth it. A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. She quickly wiped it away, embarrassed. I'm not used to being someone people fight for. Then get used to it. She let out a soft, shaky laugh. The kind of laugh you make when something inside you cracks open, letting light in for the first time in a long while. The cafe grew quieter as the evening deepened. Snow began to drift outside, delicate flakes catching the streetlights like tiny falling stars. The world felt small, intimate, like we were sealed inside a moment neither of us could escape. After a long silence, Avery finally whispered, You should come to my place. We can talk more. My heart thudded. Okay. We walked together through the gently falling snow. The silence between us wasn't heavy anymore. It was soft, fragile, full of unspoken things we weren't brave enough to touch yet. As we reached her apartment building, she hesitated by the door. Before we go up, she murmured, I need to be clear. I steadied myself. Okay. She turned to me, eyes earnest, voice barely above a whisper. I'm not ready for a relationship. Not yet. Not tomorrow. Maybe not for a while. I nodded. My heart hurt, but it understood. And I don't want to hurt you, May. You deserve something real. I stepped closer. I'm not asking for real right now. I'm asking for the beginning of honesty. The beginning of something. Her breath shortened. Something. She repeated it like the word itself scared her. Then she opened the door and gestured for me to enter. Inside, her apartment was warm and quiet. Soft lights. A faint scent of vanilla. Cozy blankets draped everywhere. Felt like her. Avery slipped her hoodie off and hung it on a hook, running a hand through her damp hair. She turned back to me. May, why did you really come? The truth rose up in my chest, fierce and undeniable. Because every version of my life that doesn't include you feels wrong. Her lips parted. She stopped breathing for a moment. Then quietly, you're going to break my heart. I stepped closer. Or I'm going to fix it. Her eyes shone with something intense. Terrified. Wanting. She whispered, you don't know how many pieces there are. Then let me hold them. Avery let out a shaking breath. Slowly. Painfully slowly. She lifted her hand and touched my cheek. Just a whisper of a touch. Barely there. But enough to set electricity humming across my skin. You feel dangerous, she whispered. I smiled gently. So do you. She laughed softly, eyes crinkling at the corners, and for the first time since I saw her in that changing room, she didn't look haunted. She looked alive. We stood there, inches apart, breathing the same air. Her hand still on my cheek. My heart still pounding like it wanted to jump into her palm. I didn't kiss her. She didn't kiss me. But something shifted. Something irreversible. Avery stepped back slightly, cheeks flushed. Let's sit. We settled on her couch, close but not touching. She pulled a blanket over her legs, tucking her feet underneath her. She looked smaller like that. Softer. I want to tell you everything, she said. If you're willing to listen. I'm here. Her eyes flickered with relief and fear. Then she told me. Told me about the years she spent with Mara, always half-loved, half-claimed. Told me about promises made in the dark and broken in daylight. Told me about choosing silence over truth because she loved too deeply to let go. And then she told me something that made my chest tighten. I left Chicago because I knew if I stayed, I would never move on. Not from her. And not from you. Me? She looked down, cheeks reddening. Yes. You. The admission made my breath catch. I thought distance would make everything easier. I thought leaving would settle things. And did it? She shook her head slowly. No. If anything, it made everything clearer. I swallowed, my voice barely steady. Clearer how? Her gaze lifted, soft but unwavering. Clearer that I cared about you more than I ever meant to. Her words wrapped around my ribs like warm hands. Avery took a shaky breath. But I'm still afraid. Of choosing wrong again. Of hurting you. Of being hurt. I gently touched her hand. Then we take it slow. No expectations. No pressure. Just honesty. And time. Her fingers curled around mine in a delicate, tentative clasp. Time, she whispered. I can do time. We sat like that, hands intertwined, snow falling quietly outside the window. The city was muted. The world felt very far away. And Avery's hand in mine felt like something I had been reaching for without realizing. After a long silence, she gave me a small, almost shy smile. I'm glad you came. My heart swelled. Even if it was bad timing? I teased softly. She squeezed my hand. Especially because it was bad timing. That means you didn't come for convenience. You came for me. Her voice cracked gently on the last word. Me. I nodded. Always for you. Avery exhaled, slow and warm. She leaned back against the couch, eyes softening as the tension in her shoulders finally released. Stay tonight, she whispered. My heartbeat stumbled. Not like that, she added quickly, cheeks flushing. Just stay. I don't want to be alone with all of this. Not yet. I smiled, relief and affection blooming through my chest. I'll stay. She looked visibly calmer. As if some storm inside her had quieted just by knowing she wasn't facing it alone. We sat in comfortable silence as the night deepened. Her breathing grew slower. Softer. Her head slowly lowered toward my shoulder, hesitant until it finally rested there. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just let her be. Her whisper came minutes later, fragile but full. May? Yeah. Don't disappear after tonight. I turned my cheek slightly, brushing her hair. I won't. Promise? Promise. She relaxed against me completely. And just like that, the girl I crossed cities for fell asleep on my shoulder, trusting me with pieces of her heart she had never said out loud. I held her gently, carefully, because some moments aren't loud, or dramatic or explosive. Some moments change your life quietly, with a single soft breath. And in that quiet Seattle apartment, with snow falling and the woman I loved asleep beside me, the trajectory of my heart shifted. Not broken, not healed, but beginning. Morning light spilled across Avery's apartment, soft and gold, warming the edges of the blankets and the quiet hum of the radiator. My neck was stiff, my arm was numb, but none of that mattered because the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was Avery breathing peacefully against my shoulder. For one suspended second, I just watched her. Her lashes fluttered gently. Her lips parted slightly with each breath. A strand of hair curled against her cheek like it belonged there, painted by morning sunlight. She looked steady, calm, nothing like the girl who had almost cried in a cafe hours before. She stirred slowly, shifting her weight. Her eyes blinked open, soft at first, then startled when she realized exactly where she had fallen asleep. Her cheeks flushed immediately, but she didn't move away. "Good morning," I whispered. She swallowed, voice still thick with sleep. "You stayed. Promised." Her gaze softened. She didn't say thank you, but that's what her eyes said. Her hand slipped down from my arm and landed lightly on my knee, unconscious. Instinctive. She didn't even notice she did it. I did. Avery sat up, stretching her arms slowly. For a moment she stared at her hands, as if contemplating what today meant. What we were now. What we weren't yet. She spoke quietly. "I haven't woken up next to someone in a long time." I smiled gently. "How does it feel?" She looked at me, eyes warm in a way that made my chest tighten. "Safe. A beat, too." Then she suddenly stood. "Let me make breakfast." I watched her move around her tiny kitchen, hair messy, shirt wrinkled, fumbling with the coffee machine like someone who never quite mastered mornings. She looked so human, so real. Not a fantasy, not the perfect coworker I'd spent years crushing on, but a person flawed and healing and trying. I loved her more for it. We ate scrambled eggs that were slightly burnt, toast that was slightly cold, and fruit that she cut with the concentration of someone defusing a bomb. It was all perfect. Because she made it. Halfway through her coffee she looked up suddenly. "What happens now?" I froze. Because that was the question, wasn't it? I didn't have a perfect answer, so I gave her the true one. "Now, we take the next step." Not a leap. Just a step. Her shoulders loosened. She nodded. "I can do that. A step." She stood, walked toward the window, and looked out at the quiet Seattle street below. The snow had melted into thin slush. Cars drove past. People hurried along wrapped in scarves. Life had already moved on from last night's storm. Avery spoke without turning around. "Feels different today." "How?" She exhaled, fogging the window slightly, like something heavy isn't sitting on my chest anymore. I walked up beside her, close but not touching. "I'm glad." She glanced at me, eyes flicking to my lips for the smallest second before darting away. "May," she whispered, almost scared, "I keep feeling like I don't deserve this." "You. Any of it. You don't have to deserve it," I said softly. "You just have to want it." Her chin trembled. "I do. I want something. With you. But slowly. Slow is okay." She took a shaky breath. "Can I show you something?" "Of course." She walked to her bedroom and came back with an old notebook, edges frayed, cover scratched. She held it out with both hands, like it weighed more than paper ever should. "This is everything I never said out loud. About the last few years. About her. About me. About leaving." I hesitated. "Are you sure you want me to read it?" Her voice cracked. "If I'm going to try again. Really try. I need someone who knows the whole truth." I accepted the notebook with gentle hands, as if it were a living thing. "I'll read it. But only if you're here with me." She nodded. We sat on the couch again, closer this time. Our knees touched. Our shoulders brushed. She curled her fingers under the edge of the blanket like she needed something to hold on to. I opened the notebook, and I read. I read pages filled with confusion, longing, heartbreak. Moments where Avery wrote she didn't know how to leave someone she loved. Moments where she admitted she felt invisible. Moments where she feared she would never be loved openly. Moments where she wrote my name small, hesitant, wondering if what she felt around me was wrong or a sign she needed to listen to. By the time I reached the last page, my throat ached. Avery's hand was shaking beside me. "Say something," she whispered. I closed the notebook gently. "Avery, you weren't alone. Not in any of it." She looked away, swallowing hard. "You really don't think I'm too broken?" I shook my head. "I think you're brave. I think you survived something that tried to convince you that you didn't deserve love. But you do." She blinked fast, tears threatening. "And what about you?" She whispered. "What do you want out of all this?" "You." Her breath hitched. But slow, I added softly. "Like you said. One step. One day. One truth at a time." Avery stared at me like she was memorizing my face, searching for cracks, for lies, for reasons to run. She didn't seem to find any. She leaned forward slightly. "May?" "Yes." "Can I hold your hand?" My heart melted. "Always." Her fingers slid into mine, warm, tentative, trembling. But she didn't pull away this time. She held on like she meant it. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The world warmed. And inside that small apartment, something shifted between us, quiet but irreversible. Avery rested her forehead gently against mine. "Thank you," she whispered. "For coming here. For not giving up. For choosing me even when I didn't know how to choose myself." I brushed my thumb over her knuckles. "We'll figure it out together." She closed her eyes, exhaling like she finally believed it. Then she did something small. Something soft. Something that felt like the beginning of everything. She kissed my cheek. Just once. Barely a touch. A promise made of breath and sunlight. When she pulled back, her eyes were glowing. "This is my step," she whispered. "What's yours?" I squeezed her hand and smiled. "Staying." Her smile trembled, breaking into something bright and overflowing. "Then stay," she whispered. "Stay a long time." And I did. Not because it was perfect. Not because all the pain disappeared. But because real love doesn't always arrive clean or convenient. Sometimes it arrives with baggage, with fear. With messy rooms and half-burnt eggs and old heartbreak stored in notebooks. Sometimes it arrives softly. Sometimes it arrives with a girl in Seattle who finally believes she's worthy of being loved in daylight. And sometimes that's enough. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.